Habibi gain. Picture this 97th minute in Anfield. Scores 2-2 tension you could cut with a knife. Harry Maguire. The guy finds himself with a golden chance to be the hero for Man United. The ball drops right to him, an open goal. Begging him to score it. What does he do? Launches it into the stands. I swear you could hear the groans all the way from Old Trafford.
Yeah, what a moment sums up the whole match, really. Just pure chaos and drama right to the very end. And you know what? The Maguire miss, maybe it was a good thing for us neutral fans. Think about it. A Liverpool win would have been so predictable, but this draw tells a different story. We've got a proper title race on our hands, and Man United, they might just be a real part of it.
Yeah, so let's take a step back and break down this 2-2 thriller from the top. On paper, a draw at Anfield for the league leaders. Liverpool, it's not the end of the world, but you could see it in their faces, that frustration. They missed a chance to create some real distance between them and Arsenal, and something just felt off about their performance.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes this result so interesting. It wasn't just a case of Liverpool having an off day. Ruben Amorim, Man United's new coach, he had a plan, and his players, they went out there and executed it brilliantly. They were organized, disciplined, and the key thing, they were proactive, especially in the midfield.
We always hear about this proactive defending, but I'm curious, what does that actually look like on the pitch when it's happening?
So it's about anticipating what your opponent's going to do instead of just reacting to them. But think of it like a game of chess, right? You're not just waiting for your opponent to make a move. You're trying to figure out their next 2 or 3 moves and counter them. That's what Amorim's Man United did. They pressed higher up the pitch, disrupted Liverpool's build-up play, forced them into making mistakes.
And that's where Amorim's change in the midfield comes into play, right? He benched the usual starters, Eriksen and Casemiro, and went with a more dynamic duo. You could say Ugarte and the young Kobbie Mainoo.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just about who he picked. It was how they played and what he asked them to do.
Yeah, absolutely. He basically created a numbers advantage in the midfield, which gave Man United control of the tempo and disrupted Liverpool's passing lanes with Bruno Fernandes dropping deeper to help out. They were winning the ball back faster and launching these dangerous counterattacks. That's exactly how they got that first goal.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget about that Lisandro Martinez screamer. What a way to make your mark at Anfield, that shot from such a tight angle.
Yeah.
I still don't know how he managed to get it past Alisson.
Pure individual brilliance for sure. But even that goal, it came from Man United's overall tactical approach. They won the ball back high up the pitch, Fernandes with a perfectly weighted pass to Martinez, and, well, the rest is history, as they say.
You could just see how that goal just energized the whole Man United team they were playing with a confidence and swagger that we haven't seen from them in ages, especially away from home against a top side like Liverpool.
And that's what makes this tactical shift so interesting. It wasn't just about being solid defensively. It was about giving their attacking players the freedom to do their thing. Guys like Fernandes and Højlund, they thrived in this system because they had more space to work with and they were constantly getting the ball in dangerous areas.
Speaking of Højlund, he had another solid game, didn't he? He was a constant thorn in the side of Liverpool's backline, using his physicality and his movement to create chances for himself and his teammates.
Absolutely. He was constantly keeping 2 or 3 Liverpool defenders occupied, which opened up space for other players to make runs. His hold-up play was excellent, and he really showed that he understands how to link up with Fernandes and the wingers.
And we can't forget about the human highlight reel himself, Amad Diallo. This guy is just pure entertainment, even when he makes mistakes.
Oh, you mean that early miss where he headed the ball away from an empty net? I think even Diallo was surprised he managed to pull that off, but to his credit, he didn't let that mistake get to him.
Exactly. He kept running, kept fighting, and he got his reward with that crucial equalizing goal in the 80th minute.
And that goal, it just sums up everything that Amorim has brought to this Man United team. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't a tactical masterpiece, but it was a goal that came from pure grit and determination. They never gave up, and Diallo's persistence paid off in the end.
That's what I love about this kid. He's got this infectious energy like a puppy chasing after a ball.
Yeah.
He doesn't always make the right decision, but he's always giving it his all.
You know, you're right. His enthusiasm, it seems to rub off on his teammates. Even the more experienced players like Maguire and Fernandes, they seem to be feeding off his energy. It's like he's brought this much-needed youthful energy to the squad.
All right. Before we get too carried away singing Man United's praises, let's talk about the other side of this coin. Yeah, Liverpool. They did manage to come back from a goal down twice, but they definitely weren't at their best. What stood out to you about their performance?
Well, for starters, their midfield was really disjointed. They couldn't handle Man United's pressing, and they were way too sloppy with the ball. I think the absence of Fabinho in that defensive midfield role was really noticeable. He's so important for them breaking up attacks and protecting that back four.
And without that solid base in midfield, It really exposed their defense, especially on that right side where Trent Alexander-Arnold had a really tough time.
Oh, yeah. He was targeted all night by Fernandes and Diallo, and he just couldn't deal with their movement and their passing combinations. I think some of it was tactical. Man United clearly saw him as a weak point, and they went after him relentlessly.
Do you think all these recent transfer rumors linking him with Real Madrid had anything to do with his performance?
It's possible. It's natural for a player to be a little distracted when there's all this speculation going around. But let's be honest, even on his best day, Alexander-Arnold is always going to be a bit of a liability defensively.
That's true.
Yeah.
He's such an attacking fullback, always looking to get forward and create chances, that it inevitably leaves some gaps at the back. And Man United, with their quick counterattacking style, they were perfectly set up to exploit those gaps.
Right, and that's what makes this matchup so interesting. You have Liverpool with their high-intensity attacking football, and then you have Man United under Amorim, who are much more pragmatic and disciplined. It's a clash of styles, and in this case, Amorim's approach was more effective.
It was a real tactical battle, wasn't it? And in the end, it felt like Amorim outsmarted Klopp, at least for this game.
No doubt about it. He identified Liverpool's weaknesses, came up with a plan to exploit them, and his players carried out that plan perfectly.
And that's why this result, even though it's just a draw, feels so significant. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, Man United have turned a corner under Amorim.
It might be too early to say for sure, but the signs are definitely promising. They were brave, they were organized, and they played with a belief that we haven't seen from them in a long time.
All right, let's break down some of the other key moments and performances from this match. We already talked about Martinez's wonder goal, but we can't forget about Cody Gakpo's equaliser for Liverpool. He absolutely fooled De Ligt with that clever feint before smashing it into the back of the net.
Oh yeah, brilliant goal. A real striker's finish. He showed so much composure and technique to create space for himself in that crowded penalty area, and his shot there was no stopping it.
And then there was Mohamed Salah's penalty, which gave Liverpool the lead for a bit. It was a bit of a controversial call with De Ligt, judged to have handled the ball in the box. VAR took a look, and the ref pointed to the spot. Salah, as he so often does, made no mistake from 12 yards.
That penalty, it really felt like a turning point in the match. It gave Liverpool the momentum, and you could feel the tension building inside Anfield. But you got to give credit to Man United. They didn't let their heads drop. They kept fighting, kept believing, and they found a way back into the game with Diallo's equaliser.
And that brings us back to those final few minutes and that incredible miss from Maguire.
What a moment. It really captured the essence of the whole match. Just high drama, unpredictable twists, and a whole lot of, did that really just happen?
You know, in a way, I'm glad he missed it. A 3-2 win for either side would have felt unfair. This 2-2 draw, it was the perfect reflection of the match itself, a tense back-and-forth battle between two teams who gave it everything they had.
I agree. A draw was the right result. It keeps the title race exciting, and it gives us a lot to think about in terms of both teams' performances.
All right, so let's dig a bit deeper into those individual performances.
For Man United, Bruno Fernandes was immense. He was everywhere, dictating the play, creating chances. It was like he had eyes in the back of his head, always knew where his teammates were going to be.
Yeah, he was on another level, and that deeper role that Amorim gave him, it really seemed to suit him. He had so much time on the ball to pick out passes and really orchestrate the attacks, and defensively he was putting in the work too, tracking back, helping out the midfielders.
A true captain's performance, leading by example, his energy and intensity, it really seemed to inspire his teammates. And speaking of inspiring performances, how about young Kobbie Mainoo in midfield for a 19-year-old making his first start at Anfield? He was so composed.
He didn't look out of place at all, did he? So calm and assured on the ball. And he wasn't afraid to get stuck in defensively either. You could tell he'd done his homework on those Liverpool midfielders because he always seemed to know what they were going to do next.
Yeah, it shows you the faith that Amorim has in his young players, and it also says a lot about Mainoo's talent and maturity. The kid's got a big future ahead of him, that's for sure.
Absolutely, and he wasn't the only youngster who impressed. Rasmus Højlund put in a real shift up front. He might not have gotten on the score sheet, but his movement and link-up play were so important to Man United's attack. He was always occupying those Liverpool center backs, creating space for Fernandes and the wingers to exploit.
Okay, so we've given Man United a lot of praise, but what about Liverpool? Where do we even begin with their performance? They look like a completely different team.
They really did. They were a shadow of their usual selves.
It all comes back to that midfield. I think without Fabinho there to anchor things, they were just too easy to play through Henderson and Thiago. They just couldn't deal with the energy and the intensity of that Man United midfield three.
Yeah, and that lack of control in midfield. It had a ripple effect on their attack. Salah and Gakpo, who are usually so dangerous, they were practically starved of service.
And even when they did get the ball, they were isolated, surrounded by Man United defenders. They barely had any clear-cut chances from open play.
It also shows you how reliant Liverpool have become on Alexander-Arnold's creativity from that right back position when he's having an off day like he did against Man United. Their attack can look really blunt.
It's a real dilemma, isn't it? He's such a threat going forward, but his defensive weaknesses are no secret, and Man United, they took full advantage of that.
So is this a sign that Liverpool are starting to crack under pressure? Or was this just a blip, a bad day at the office against a Man United side that suddenly found its form?
It's hard to say for sure. Every team has bad games, and Liverpool are still a top team with a lot of quality. But this result does raise some questions about their midfield balance. Klopp needs to figure out how to make them more solid defensively without sacrificing their attacking power.
Yeah, it's a tough task for sure, but if anyone can figure it out, it's Klopp. He's a tactical genius, and he's got a squad full of world-class players. I wouldn't count him out just yet.
Agreed. This result might actually do them some good in the long run. It's a wake-up call, a reminder that they can't afford to get complacent.
And it's definitely given the rest of the league some hope. If Man United can go to Anfield and get a result, then anyone can. This title race just got a whole lot more interesting.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Habibi gang, this match, it really has thrown the title race wide open. Who would have thought Man United would be the team to shake things up?
It's amazing, isn't it, how quickly things can change in football? A few weeks ago, everyone was writing Man United off, saying they were miles behind the top teams now after that performance at Anfield. They're right back in the mix.
It just goes to show you the impact a new manager and a fresh approach can have. Amorim has clearly given that squad a new lease on life. They're playing with a purpose and intensity that we haven't seen from them in years.
Yeah, and it's not just the tactics, it's the mentality. You can see that the players are really buying into what Amorim is trying to do. They're fighting for each other, they're pressing like crazy, and they're not afraid to take risks.
That's what was so impressive about their performance at Anfield. They didn't just sit back and hope for the best. They went toe-to-toe with the league leaders' created chances, and honestly, they could have even won the game.
Absolutely, and that's got to be a concern for Liverpool. They've built their success on that relentless pressing and their ability to just shut down opponents, but against Man United, they were the ones who looked uncomfortable. They couldn't handle the intensity of Man United's press, and their midfield was overrun for long stretches of the match.
It'll be interesting to see how Klopp responds to this. He's a top manager, but even he has to be worried by some of the weaknesses that Man United exposed.
Yeah, I think he needs to figure out how to shore things up defensively without losing that attacking spark. They're still the most dangerous attacking team in the league, but they can't afford to be so vulnerable at the back if they want to win the title.
So, Habibi gang, there you have it, in another classic match between two of the biggest rivals in world football. We had goals, drama controversy, and a tactical masterclass.
It was a game that people will be talking about for a long time, and it's going to have a big impact on the title race for sure.
The big question now is, what does this mean for the rest of the season? Is this the start of a real title challenge from Man United? Or was this just a flash in the pan?
We'll have to wait and see, but one thing's for sure, the Premier League is back and it's more exciting than ever.
And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the beautiful game. Until next time, Habibi gang, keep the faith.